Welcome, Lauren Gilmore, to the stage.
Hello.
Oh, by the way, you're going to what school tied to Oxford next year? This year? What was it?
Goldsmiths. It's at the University of London in September.
Okay, see, she has the smarts.
So that was a really flattering blurb, so I think your expectations are at like a 10. So let's just take a moment to lower them like a little tiny bit, and then no one will be disappointed. So the beginning of the book has an epigraph to a poem by Jack Gilbert, and it's where the title came from. And in the context of his book, he was writing this after his wife had died. And so I'm just going to read the Jack Gilbert poem to start, and it's called To See If Something Comes Next. There is nothing here at the top of the valley, sky and morning, silence and the dry smell of heavy sunlight on the stone everywhere, goats occasionally, and the sound of roosters in the bright heat where he lives with the dead woman and purity, trying to see if something comes next, wondering whether he has stalled. Maybe, he thinks, it is like the no. Whenever the script says dances, whatever the actor does next is a dance. If he stands still, he is dancing. And unfortunately, I didn't know it was Zippy's birthday today until I got here. So I don't have any like happy poems about Dog's birthday. But this is not at all like that. So this poem is called Emma. It's in the book. Emma had 2 short pigtails, sarcasm and a block of field brush behind her apartment complex, perfect for adventure. Of course, when we found that old red ski pole, leaning into the crook of a tree like a grandpa in a doorway, we fastened a piece of fabric to the top, held it out as a flag to the wind, became our symbol, transforming a north side Spokane suburbia into another universe, one we nicknamed Chausa, a combination of chocolate and salsa dancing, our 2 favorite things. We filled notebooks with sketches of different creatures who lived there, decided on their heights, weights, and hair colors, if they spoke English, whether or not they were afraid of people. That was the year Emma taught me to swing dance. Her mom was dating another cowboy. Her grandparents lived down the street and had soft carpets and an in-ground swimming pool. We colored our lips red with popsicles, ate tuna fish sandwiches, and drank straight from the hose. Her dad lived 40 minutes away, called too much, and couldn't walk. When she went to visit him, his house smelled like urine and chewing tobacco, and she had to be careful not to spill the bedpan, carrying it to and from the bathroom. My dad lived downtown, got high too much, and didn't always remember to pick up the phone at all. His house smelled like cigarettes and candles, and every other weekend I would sit upside down in his leather armchair, air trumpeting to Miles Davis. When the MS won and her dad died, Emma got a Chase Youth Award for courage. I brought her homemade jam in a jar and we went to a baseball game. His funeral was outside. It was too hot and the sun kept getting in our eyes. She told me they were going to bury him with his cell phone, so whenever she got lonely she could always call, listen to him on the voicemail reader. By the time my dad had died just a few years later, Emma had already moved, the Chausa flag torn beneath the bulk of my closet. My sister and I sat up all night crying because we were tired of crying. They don't give awards to the girls whose dads drank themselves to death, but his funeral was also outside. It was also too hot. They said I could speak if I wanted. Had nothing to say. A mosquito bit me and then another. I didn't swat either away. It's been so long since I've seen Emma. She probably doesn't wear her hair in pigtails anymore. Maybe we are still cut from the same cloth, like those letters superglued to that flag. Maybe we wake in the same moments of the same nightmares, kicking heavy paralysis like sheets to the ends of our beds. Imagine she still calls him every now and then. Some nights I can almost hear that low moan of a telephone echoing against the sides and lid of his coffin, still ringing. So this book was put together over the course of 2.5 years, and so before that I was working on a chapbook with my teacher, and it lost a bunch of contests, and so a bunch of those poems ended up in here as well. So this is one of them. It's called From the House on Bell. My father married a woman who smoked cigarettes and styled hair for a living. She once took up painting, covered the kitchen table with newspaper. My father hung a tree she dressed in autumn on the wall of their living room. She showed me how to mix shades of blue to match the sky. Nothing is ever one color, she said. Her face changed the night she slammed the door and all of the nailed picture frames came loose. The imitation calm surrounding their house fell like a hammer. My father moved into the spare basement of some friends across town in a room without any wallpaper. We shuffled big boxes down the stairs, found a new shelf for his books and DVDs, dusted off the ashtray. Later, walking beneath a cloud of nicotine, he'd tell me a story about the wind and what it takes, a painting of a tree he threw into the field during a thunderstorm, just to watch the canvas bleed. There's some shorter ones, so it feels awkward to like start clapping and then stop a lot. You don't have this fine, understand. Also, my friend did some really nice colored illustrations in these books with charcoal and chalk and different things. So even if you don't buy one, you should look at them because she made a lot of them and they're very nice. I'm going to be a teacher story time for a minute. This poem is about middle school. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was terrible. Unless you're still there, I'm sorry. Okay. So this poem is called What We Give Away. The first boy I kissed tasted like cigarettes and was the only kid in my elementary school who had ever seen a Stanley Kubrick film. Before he started sitting next to me at lunch and on the metal playground, I heard him tell a friend of ours that I was nice, but on a cuteness scale from 1 to 10, I was maybe a 6 1/4. The first time we broke up, he told me he would always love me just differently, and I cried into a pillow for 3 hours. When we got back together in the summer before 7th grade, he listed off the names of 5 other girls he was seeing at the same time as me. He didn't walk through the snow and talk about The Shining anymore. Instead, he had stories about drugs and carried a lighter. Standing on the blacktop, he slid his hands into my back pockets and told me to kiss him, so I did. 2 weeks before breaking up with me for the last time, he told me to send him a photo of myself without a shirt on, so I did, careful to keep my eyes and stomach out of the frame, as absent from my own body as the ocean is from a seashell. I realized I made a set list and I'm not sort of following it at all. So I've been doing a sort of small tour across the Pacific Northwest for a couple weeks, and I'm going to preface this poem with a story that happened at a house show after I did it because I thought it was really weird. This drunk man in a kilt came up to me and he said, like, about that poem, I just want you to know that not every penis is a dick. And I was like, thanks. That wasn't super helpful, but that's good. So, I don't know. Apparently you can say those things if you're in a kilt. So this poem is called Choke Cherry. Choke cherry bushes grow along the driveway of the house where I grew up. For years, my mom warned us they were poisonous, till the day her boyfriend snatched one, chewed, spat, and told her what it was. Then she took to making pies and jams, storing them downstairs in jars during the winter. First time I saw what a woman looked like. Once she had been sucked dry to the pit, I was still a girl, looking at my face over the bathroom sink. After that boy had buttoned his jeans and gone home. After I'd said no. After he'd said to show him my breasts and the couch cushions sank under our combined weight. A choke cherry looks ripe long before it is ready to be eaten. We were kids. After his desired past collapsed into my lips. Kiss so gentle, it could have been his first, if I didn't know it wasn't. Stared at my reflection for 10 minutes, letting the water run over my hands, wondering how much soap it would take for the residue left on the palm and wrist he'd taken hold of to ever come clean, how much scrubbing against my tongue to ever speak again. I didn't say a word as I picked up my shirt from the entryway. Not years later, when any well-intentioned touch shut my body off like a faucet, I didn't say anything. And he made varsity football, and I learned fear, and another bird swooped down to the cement and left, carrying with it another soft, red choke cherry. I should have dog-eared the pages I was going to read, but I didn't, so one second. Yeah, there, tied in zippy. I tried to accidentally sell this copy to a bookstore in Spokane, and they gave it back and were like, you folded over all the pages, like you can't do that. So, if anyone wants that, I'm going to... Sorry. So, last August, right after I was here actually, I went to study abroad in Spain for 3 weeks, and I was living in a flat with like 7 people that I'd never met before, and so I got to know them really well suddenly, and this is a poem for my roommate. It's called On Sleeping Alone. After crying herself quieter than the night-lit cobblestone, a Spanish side street 2 stories below our room, she lays down to stare at the plastered ceiling. She speaks like dominoes, the other women screaming their last phone call, her 16-year-old daughter's quiet disappointment. Round of party calls rises in through the window she opens every morning, pulling back its white lace curtains like the lips of her smile. She tells me she used to be happy. Outside, the car boomerangs away, leaving tire tracks lingering loud as a burnt receiver. She asks what I would do. A melatonin tablet sinking to the pit of my stomach as I try to imagine the man who ironed the music out of her voice. I ball my hands to fists against the linen bed sheets. I tell her I believe him. She laughs, shuts off the light, and turns onto her side. No, she says, you wouldn't. It's not how we've learned to love.